All right, so this morning I'm going to be baking sourdough loaves. These are loaves that I prepared last night, and they'll be ready to bake in just a couple of hours. So what I'm going to be baking in is my oven, and I'm going to be using these cast iron combo cookers. Combo cookers work really well for this. And I actually will be running them upside down, and the reason that a combo cooker works so sweet is because all the steam coming out of the bread is essentially going to get trapped up in the top part now of the combo cooker, and that will allow there to be a much more humid environment, and the bread will be able to have a much better oven spring because the outside crust won't harden before it has a chance to rise. So what I'm going to do is just get these set up in the oven, and we're going to preheat. There we are. Preheat at 520, and it's obviously going to take a little while for it to hit that temperature, and once it does hit temp, I'm going to let it sit there for close to an hour or so, just to make sure the oven is as hot as possible and that the cast iron's all super hot. And once we're at that point, then I will pull the loaves out and prep them and get them in the oven. All right, so the oven hit 520. It's been sitting there for about an hour. I'm ready to kind of get going here. So I just have all my materials out that I need for actually baking the sourdough. So I've got my pizza peel, I've got 2 pieces of parchment paper that are just wide enough to cover those proofing baskets that I have the dough in right now. I've got my lamb. You can use just a plain razor blade for this. That's how I used to do it. This is just way cooler. I've got some rice flour just for a little extra dusting on top of the loaves, and then of course some oven mitts because I'm going to be handling the cast iron, and actually also one of the racks just because of the size and shape of my oven. So I'm going to go and get the dough now, and then we will actually go ahead with this. All right, so here we are. Here is the dough. This is after 13.5 hours. It's looking really nice, ready to bake. So what I need to do here is I'm going to cover these with the parchment paper. The trick here is going to be putting the pizza peel on top. I'm going to flip them over, and then the dough will be resting on the parchment paper, which is just going to help prevent it from burning along the bottom of the dough. And then I'll kind of explain everything as I go. Now, before I do that though, I just need to change some of the orientation here because I've got not enough space in here to work. I'm just going to place that top rack up on the very top so it's out of the way. Everything's going to go on top of those combo cooker lids. Now it is time to go. So, first step, gently flipping. I'm just going to add a little extra rice flour to it. The rice flour is nice because it doesn't burn. I'm going to score, getting somewhere around a 1/2 inch into the dough. Then I'm going to take this and place it on one of the combo cooker lids. I'm going to repeat with the second. I'm trying to do this all as quickly as possible. There are lots of different cool scoring patterns out there. With this one, I'm just obviously doing a really simple 3-way cross kind of pattern. Lots of different cool things you can do out there. However, I've been playing around with certain variables with my sourdough lately, and I just don't want the scoring pattern to be one of the variables that are changing right now. So once they're both in there, I'm going to lid, trying to make sure the parchment paper is out of the way, cover them up so that they're properly sealed, close that. Now, I'm just going to adjust the oven temperature down to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to then set a timer for 35 minutes. It's going to sit in there like that. During this time, all the oven spring is going to be occurring, and after 35 minutes, we'll remove those lids, we'll take a look at them, and then they'll continue to bake just to crisp up and make sure they hit the right internal temperature. So, we'll see it in a bit. All right, it's been 35 minutes. Now the nerve-wracking part of this process, seeing how much it rose. I'm gonna have to hold the camera back a little bit here because it's gonna get steamy. And there we are. Nice little oven rise. Oven spring. Okay, I'm gonna close things back up. I'm now going to just drop down to 440 and then leave that for another good half hour and take a peek at it. All right, so it's been just over 30 minutes and the bread is ready. So I'm going to pop it out. I like to use this little spatula here. I find it's a really easy way just to make sure I can get the bread out without traumatizing it too much. Set those over there to hang out and cool down. So there you are, sourdough bread, nice little rise on it. It is exactly how done I want it to look. Now the trick is you got to leave it for at least an hour, preferably 2. That crumb inside is still setting at this point, and if you start to slice into it, you're going to damage it and wreck it. So that is the hardest part because, of course, everybody's super excited to eat it. So for now, keep her at 11.